Hello and welcome to the video version of my journal. I'm Steffanie River. The conversation. We are multicasting on several platforms. So on whatever platform you're watching, we want to welcome you to the show. It is the holiday season. Hope you are and your family are doing well. And I want to give a special shout out to my new subscribers. Thanks for supporting the channel. And if you are new to the conversation, we know you're going to like something that you want to share. So be sure to like, share, and subscribe so that when I post new videos, you'll be the first to know. So you probably have noticed, and you probably like true crime shows. They are the most popular programs in the United States these days, and it's making some law enforcement officers get superstar status in their communities. And that's what we're talking about, because there's a budding superstar amongst us. Dwayne Gibson spent decades as an FBI agent who worked numerous high-profile cases that you wouldn't know, except he's going to talk about it today. His former caseload will be the focus of a new show that's headed to networks and streaming services around the country. So we want to welcome Dwayne Gibson to the show. Welcome.
Hey, Steffanie, how you doing?
All is well, thank you. Now, you have served as the law enforcement officer expert many times on past shows on my podcast. So thank you for that again. But and getting to know you and hearing about some of your cases, you were an active FBI agent. I thought it would be a great idea as to pitch a show because you don't see many Black FBI agents cast as stars on shows, let alone any show. So we hooked up with a producer, and that producer is helping us to package the show. We have registered the title, and we are ready to move forward. So I just wanted to, you seem pretty laid back. I don't know, had you looking at shows on networks and streaming services and how much they have incorporated true crime programming in its lineup, did it ever cross your mind to get into that lane before I mentioned it to you?
No, not really. I think most of us that actually took the job that looked like us took the job. It was a job you really wanted to do and be extremely proficient at. And I don't think anybody that I know, my associates, went in with the premise of, hey, I'm making all these extra notes so I can write a book when I get out and make money. We went in, we did a job, we learned a whole lot, we did a lot, we had different specialties. What I can say about my associates that'll be here with us soon, we all met each other in the early 90s, so we're looking at 30 plus years of professional and personal relationships that we've gone from being young men and young women to now retired citizens. We've got children, and I hope that people will see the camaraderie that we still exhibit when we get to talk to each other, how we can finally remember the Los Angeles field office of the FBI was extremely unique back in that time frame. I think we had probably the largest contingent of Black agents in the early 90s in one field office. To take that in perspective, New York is the largest field office. LA is the second largest. And I believe we had somewhere like 30 Black agents in that field office at one time, main headquarters, working whether violent crimes, white collar crimes, technical issues, a little bit of everything. And the great part, like I mentioned earlier, is we all seem to bond with each other to some extent. And that's what we're going to bring to the table now, to let people see that, hey, the FBI may be this monolith that most people think of it is, but there are a great many Black men and women that have served professionally and honorably over the last 35, 45, 50 years that have never talked about what they did, and hope this will give us an opportunity to show how we actually have been able to make the FBI what it was in the past. When we were there, we did our best to make sure we stayed out of trouble, and the right people got prosecuted, and those things of that nature. And so hopefully we get a few more friends on here. We can start having a quick conversation.
Well, to that point, we with any crime show, when you watch it or any show, there's always the supporting roles, and people who helped to bring it all together. So today we have with us, let's bring in Karam Govans. Is that how you say it, Mr. Govans?
Karam Govans.
Govans. Okay. And we want to welcome to the show Miss Tanya Coleman. How are you doing, ma'am?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, hey, Tanya, how you
I'm
doing?
doing good. How are you? Thank you. What's happening, Kat?
Hey there.
Oh,
Long
this is
time.
great. Good.
Wait, I have
Oh,
a little
who? You locked up.
I just see your red. Okay, now I see you.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Oh,
you doing?
I don't know.
Okay, now she's
I am?
moving. She's back moving
Okay,
again.
now you're back. Okay, there we go.
So again, we want to, tell us a little bit about yourselves. We know through Dwayne that you guys have spent time in different field agency agents or field offices together. So Karam, tell us how long you were an FBI agent, and where are some of the locations where you worked in your specialty?
Well, out of Quantico, I got assigned to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I was there for 4 years. And to believe it or not, I was the only Black agent in the whole state of Wisconsin when I was there. One Black agent in the whole state of Wisconsin. That was me. I was there 4 years. I worked bank robberies, fugitives for a year and a half, and then I switched to working mortgage loan fraud. When I was advised that another Black agent was coming in to the office there, being assigned out of Quantico, I said it must be my time to leave. And sure enough, 6 weeks later, I got orders to transfer to Los Angeles. So I was in Milwaukee from 1987 to 1991, and I was in Los Angeles for 12 and a half years. I worked on a drug squad for a year. Then I transferred to working telemarketing fraud for many years. I did campaign finance for about a year and a half, 2 years. And then I went back to mortgage loan fraud for the rest of my stay there. And then I transferred out after 12 and a half years to Miami, Florida. And that's where I finished my last 7.5 years. And they put me on a terrorism squad. I was only there for like 2-3 months before I volunteered to go out to surveillance operation, what we call SOG. And I did surveillance, became one of the team leaders of the team, conducting physical surveillance for case agents. And I retired in June 2011. So I did 24 and a half years.
Wow. Well, thank you for your service. And I do have some questions, but I want us her experience and where you started. What divisions did you work in?
I started off in
Tanya?
Los Angeles in 1991. It was my first office.
You locked up again.
So
Started
it
my
looks like
career in 1991 in Los Angeles. 5 years in the San Antonio division. Go ahead.
so it seems
Yeah, I
like
just lost connection again.
it seems like the FBI has a lot of divisions. Karen, you were saying that you worked in campaign finance fraud. So, I mean, I guess things wherever there's money, people can have the being dishonest and being thieves. But so is that how it's kind of broken down where they have departments where things happen and you can just go to those different departments and learn and help solve cases? Like how does an agent get assigned to something like campaign finance fraud?
Well, sometimes you're assigned, and then sometimes you can raise your hand and say, hey, I'm tired of working this. I'd like to go work something else, as long as they have room and the need for agents to do that. And sometimes it calls for a specialty, whether you're a Spanish speaker or you speak a particular language where they need people. There was a time there was something going on over in Puerto Rico, and a huge investigation, but they needed Spanish speakers. So those who spoke fluent Spanish were offered up to go over there. There was a time back when we had savings and loans along with banks, and you had the right before the collapse of savings and loans out in Los Angeles, those who were accountants were handpicked to go out to Los Angeles to assist with that huge case out there. So a lot of times there's many different areas of where federal violations occur, in which the FBI handles healthcare fraud, mortgage loan fraud. I mean, there's hundreds of violations. And, if you get tired of working something, you raise your hand and say, I'd like to go work this or like to go work that. Like I told you in Miami, when I first got there, it was like starting over. They put me on a terrorism squad. I said, oh no. 3 months, I got an email about a need for a surveillance group. I went out and I talked to the supervisor there, and boom, I ended up out there. Several months later, I ended up a team leader.
Tanya, it's often said that a lot of there are not a lot of Black FBI agents, and you being a woman, what was your experience in the field? Tell me, what was your most memorable case?
Well, I can't really talk about it, but I did work counterterrorism and national security. And I worked something so...
Locked up again, Tanya.
Okay. Yeah, I should I begin and maybe...
And try to go out and come back. You can, try that. Try to come back and when you come back, I'll see you. So let me go ahead and remove her so she can go ahead and work on it. And then we have another agent on.
Oh, did Andre made it?
Let's see. Let me bring him in.
Yeah, that's Andre. What's up, man?
Andre, how are you?
What's up, Jay?
How's everyone?
Good to see you, man.
Great. So thanks for joining us. If you're new to the conversation, we're talking to Black FBI agents as we prepare for a new true crime show that highlights the career of Dwayne Gibson and his decades-long career as an FBI agent in the United States. So we are in the midst of packaging it, and it should be on a streaming service or network in the coming year in 2024. So we wanted to invite Dwayne and some of his colleagues that he worked with throughout his time in the FBI, and we just had Andre Williams to join us. So, Andre, tell us about what are some of the divisions that you worked in, and what made you my agent?
Well, that was easy. Yeah, I started off, as Dwayne knows, I was Army EOD, Explosive Ordnance Disposal. So in that role, I had the opportunity to work with ATF, with the United States Secret Service, with the FBI, and a couple of the other ABC outfits, and got a chance to meet a couple of the agents, spoke with them, and I applied. Now, I applied with DEA, Secret Service, State Department, and they came up with the best offer.
Okay, so it was all about the money.
No, it wasn't all about the money, but it was the opportunity. They were second to offer me a position. Took a long time. DEA was first, but DEA only worked one violation, whereas the Bureau works all violations. A little more exciting.
Okay, so the excitement and just the thrill of it. So I've talked with Dwayne many times about some of those thrilling cases. So while he's answering this question about the case where he felt where his life was on the line, where you almost, where you were undercover. That's some term I'm looking for.
Right.
You guys, tell me, think about what is some of the biggest cases, the one or two big cases that you worked on, and if you worked on them with each other. For Dwayne, you worked on what, the Rodney King case. You can tell us a little bit about that. Freeway, Rick Ross, but the one where you went undercover and you felt like your life was in danger.
Oh, that was the very beginning. That was when we first got the baby agents. You were there, Andre. That was when we took down the 7-4 Hoover Crips.
Yeah.
And you had to stand and joke with me. Hey, if they ever take you hostage, just lean to the right.
Hey, Dwayne, I lost your volume.
Oh, remember, you always had to run and joke with me. Hey, if you ever get taken hostage, just lean to the right. I'm going to take the shot. And my answer was, when I get some new underwear, you and I are going to have a long conversation if you shoot at anybody. I mean, Karen and I, remember the case you got from Utah when we were working for Ron Adelberg and we went out to Universal Studios?
I actually went out to Salt Lake City once on, was that a telemarketing case?
No, yeah, that's when we worked for Ron. You had to lead to arrest the guy. We went and picked him up at Universal Studio, and over the weekend, he had gone into Utah. They had cleared it, but they hadn't taken it out of NCIC, and Ron Adelberg was lost for cause, and we brought the guy back. And he was like, you guys got to unarrest him. We were like, you said, hey, I got an arrest warrant. Utah didn't do their job.
Yeah, that one I don't remember too much.
It was your case. I just went along for the ride. Andre took me out on a bank robbery after I had an undercover gig in the morning in Beverly Hills. See, Tanya took over a case for me when I was doing the undercover work, John Smith, because I couldn't be the case agent and the undercover agent. So we got cross-pollination right here. Yeah. Like I said, going back 30 plus years between all of us. Yeah. We've all crossed paths working with each other. Andre and I were the new babies on the squad, so we got the crappy duty of sitting in a van eating Tommy burgers and chili
burgers.
And 6 in the morning eating chili burgers and fries. You gotta like somebody to do that and sit in the van for 6 hours with them. Tanya came along and saved me when I was having issues. I couldn't do 2 things at once. She said, "Okay, you do the paperwork. I'll handle the work for you." And that's why you turn out to be an outstanding supervisor in LA too, isn't it? Ton, you're trying to be polite. You're trying to play down her management.
I remember a case. Right. I remember working a case. It was the first time I had to body slam somebody. A young girl. She was 50. Her granddaughter. She jumped on my back.
Really?
Remember the Yeah, in Syria.
Way too much
And
fun.
it was the grandmother we went to arrest. The grandmother.
That part,
Don't you remember
that
that?
part sounds familiar. That part sounds familiar.
Everybody's got funny stories to tell if
Yeah,
you sit
that was
together.
the first time.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So you,
It was
see,
the
the
first
thing is,
time
you
I
didn't
body
think about,
slammed.
we're all thinking about cases we worked on together.
Wow.
You know, if there's, I'm gonna bring this one up because LA is always gonna be unique to me for this Monday Night Football. John,
So while Dwayne is doing that, I know that when I watched television and I see some of the shows that are on, I say to myself, wow, if that can make it on TV, I know, people who have better stories and a better story to tell. So what is it, in your opinion, is the reason why you have agreed to kind of come together in this capacity? What can viewers expect to see from a show that incorporates all of your stories that they don't necessarily see now, from your perspective?
Well, I'll go first and make comment. And actually, this just happened before I got on here. I was at Costco. I saw a young man that I'll go and change my cable or internet rather. I don't have cable anymore. Go and change my internet. And I was so impressed with the young man. I started asking him questions, how old he was. I ended up pulling up the FBIjobs.gov and saying, look, give me a call. I see something in you. I'm impressed, and I don't impress easily. And start showing him some of the things on the sites, as far as showing him a possible career other than standing in Costco, trying to sell AT&T cable. But for me, it's important that people see Black agents, male and female, because I told you I was the only one in the whole state of Wisconsin. And all those years ago, I didn't have the help. I had to do it by myself. And the story Andre just told, all these years, I never heard his story, but his story is similar to my story of why I got interested. I saw Secret Service with earplugs in their ears when Jesse Jackson came to my college in 1984, running for president. I thought it was cool. I asked the agents who they were. They said Secret Service. I started applying to the Secret Service first. Went down to World Trade Center. They weren't hiring. I looked at U.S. Marshals, FBI. Boom, FBI was on the ball, ran with that, and glad I did it because, like he said, they work many more violations than Secret Service and U.S. Marshals and all. But it's imperative that people see that they're Black male and Black female agents, because I hear all the time, I thought you had to be a lawyer. I thought you had to be an accountant. Oh, wow, I never knew there were Black agents. Now, with the advent of YouTube, I pull up YouTube and show them Black female agents. And I just did that at Costco.
So you find yourself still recruiting for the agency even after retirement, right? Because a lot
definitely, definitely.
Yes.
a lot of people.
I'm trying to recruit deputy sheriffs right now.
Yeah.
taking him to work for us.
And you know what, and it's because, and I would assume it's because, and they, a lot of times people don't, they're comfortable with Black people, Black men and women being in certain fields, doing certain things, but they, for the opportunities that they might not necessarily want to present to you, they kind of like shield those. So I think it is good that in your position you have an opportunity to show people that this is something that you can do, because I did it. So let me ask you guys this: if your children wanted to be in the FBI, would you be okay with them being an agent, or based on your probably would not want them to do that?
My daughter is thinking about applying, and so is one of my sons. Now, it's not my bureau because, like everything, it has changed.
Yes.
And it changed when they hired us, because I would remember some of the old guys going on a bank robbery squad. This isn't my bureau.
Yep.
So you get that every generation, but I would not hesitate in having my kids want to take up that mantle.
Yep. I wouldn't have a problem either. I only have one child, and that's a son, and I wouldn't have a problem with it.
No, I wouldn't have an issue. I tell them the truth from what they saw. I mean, they've seen what I did, where I went, when I was gone. I tell them the truth, make them aware of all the ins and outs. And if they decide to make that decision, I'm standing there right there behind them. Because if they do decide to do that, I can't get a bigger star on my shoulder than one of my kids decide they want to take up my own profession.
That's it.
If they take up your profession, you must impress them. And if they don't take up your profession, that's fine too. As long as my children are doing what makes them happy, right. I have no choice but to stand behind them. Now, if one of my daughters were to say, "Daddy, I want to apply to the FBI, help me out, how to figure this out," I'm gonna have to do a lot of sitting down and talking with them and tell them, "Hey, you got to understand A, B, C, and D. Don't always think what you see on TV is going to be fun. You don't run around doing high-speed chases, shooting people, jumping out windows. There's a whole lot of paperwork. There's a whole lot of downtime. A lot of times you got to go sit by yourself in your car because the paperwork, management, top to bottom, has their agenda, which may not agree with you as a street agent.
Solving cases in 45 minutes.
Doesn't happen. 45 minutes takes you that long to get your paperwork just to look at it, much less.
Now that you brought that up, I remember when I was a young bank robbery agent and Law and Order came out, and I had a United States attorney demand I go out and draw the picture of the bank. I told her I can't do that. There's only 13 of us, and we cover the whole county. And there are a lot of robberies out in LA at the time.
Right.
So I used that reference. I said, hey, Law and Order, the first 30 minutes of the show, cop goes out and arrests. Well, we're in your 30 minutes of the show. You got to prosecute. Needless to say, Mark Llewellyn got a call on that one.
That's back when you could have a conversation and not be penalized for pointing out the facts in life.
He laughed, told me don't do it again. But I did not draw the picture of that bank.
Oh, man. So Tanya, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say I have 4 kids. 2 of my kids have aged out, and I don't know if they would qualify. And I do have one son that's an accountant and another son who's a teacher who's thinking about a career change. So it's something I would have them consider. I would say the best thing about being an agent is being a retired agent.
Doesn't get any better.
I'm gonna have to steal that one.
Yeah, I'm stealing that.
Yeah, no joke.
Hey, yeah. Tanya, remember when I retired, you called me my first weekend?
Yes, I did. I
you
told
asked
you.
Me, what am I doing on a Sunday night?
Yep.
You had explained to me. Go.
Right. So, Sunday nights with any job, all the jobs I had before, about 5:30, you hear the 60 Minutes show come on, you're pressed. And I said, that is the best day on a Sunday evening. And then you go say, turn down for what?
Because every day.
Well, being retired, what's the difference between a Sunday and a Monday?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
No difference.
Nothing.
Turn down for what? That's what I said.
That's right.
Yeah,
that is correct. But also too, what we did. Speaking of what I mentioned about it's important for people to see us and help those blaze. You know, we've made a path for those to follow us to make it the path less resistant. And one thing we did in LA was we adopted an elementary school, Martin Luther King Elementary School.
Noble.
And I believe it was on Wednesday. Every Wednesday, we go to the elementary school and talk to elementary school students. We did that for an hour or two every Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it became so popular that we started attending the career days. And I never forget going to the career days. You had all these teachers, and I had my business cards at the time, and I'm passing out my card. And then we had another partner of ours. He was like, "Hey, Karen, give me some of your cards." He's passing out my business cards without my knowledge. I'm getting bombarded for all these teachers from all these schools for their career days. And I said, and then I said, man, I turned to him because we were desk mates. I said, man, I'm getting all these calls from these teachers about the career days. He said, yeah, because I was passing out your cards. And I think we all know who that was.
Hey, Karen, don't feel bad. Karen, Dwayne was putting all my business cards in free meals at restaurants.
Boy, I tell you.
I had to move them off my desk.
The fun we had back then, man. I don't know if it's like that now. I doubt it, but
No.
we did what we had to do work-wise. We did what we had to do community-wise. But we also had fun when we worked out to stay in shape. Personally, I need that kind of program again, that 66E program. But you know, it was great, man. I had so much fun in LA. Best office I was in out of the three.
Well,
Yes,
I think
it is. It's
no. Go ahead.
no, Los Angeles. Your cases in Los Angeles are like Super Bowl games. You move to another office, and you're like, "We're working this."
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much every case we had was like the Super Bowl. They were big cases.
Yeah.
And I know that Dwayne mentioned the going to the school and doing the speaking, and so I think that's another part of your story that a lot of people would be surprised to know is that you, in addition to what you had to do and had to deal with being in law enforcement, that you took time out to give guidance and into the community. So I know there's going to be a lot of aspects of your story and of this show that a lot of people will come to appreciate. So I want to thank you guys for showing up for Dwayne and being a preliminary part of the show as we promote it to streaming services. And, there's always going to be a chance that, as we were saying, that not just one show, but, we're looking for spinoffs as well as we start to develop this show. So we'll be glad to tell more of your stories as well. So any last words for people? And then Karen, you hit on this, whereby we're in charge of hiring these days, because they say, and I guess this happens with each generation, we say they don't want to work, they don't want to do hard work. But if you were in charge of hiring for the FBI, what are some of the characteristics, qualities that you would look for in someone that you would want to be your partner?
All right, who's that addressed to?
You get the first go, man. You want to go first, Karen?
Okay. Well, I've done a lot of talking. I don't want to hog it, but
All right. Tanya, you up?
I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go. The first thing, I was a supervisor and I'm still a mentor for many agents and people in management till this day. I also have recently done recruiting with the Bureau at HBCUs last fall. And my thing is character, love our nation, its constitution, and keep everything above board. Character and being qualified and backing up what you know, so that people don't look at your skin color or look at your gender or whatever, and they could just say, this person knows their stuff. The most important thing to me is, and I would use this, know your SHIT, no matter what. And nobody can come against you when you know your stuff.
True.
Andre?
For me, it's integrity. You just, say what you mean what you say. Keep it honest, keep it real. I mean, there were many times Dwayne and I was joking about this the other day about it seemed like we would all the two of us were the main ones taking the drug test when we first got there.
You got tired of doing that. That got old real quick.
always running into them until we got on the same squad. So that integrity. It's something that's critical in the Bureau, and it's critical in law enforcement. One of the things I tell people when I mentor the young deputies is tell them, you got to make good decisions, and you got to always do your best, and you also have to do the right thing even when no one is looking.
Yes.
And now that we all have body cams, everybody's looking, but you still got to do the right thing. And I stress that with all the new deputies that work with me, and even some of the old ones.
So, Dwayne, we have a question as we're closing up. Is there a reluctance for people of color to join the hiring ranks of the FBI? In your opinion?
I think in the long run, like the four of us, we had mentors that pushed us in certain directions to see something. And when I used to talk, like Karen was talking about back at MLK Middle School, I remember saying this, and I always say this to anybody who's asking me about a job. You want to be doing something that your mother is proud to say you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
If your parents stand up and say, that's my child, no matter what, your content of character is what will carry you through life. As Andre said, you got to do what's right, even when there's nobody looking. Your content of character. It's like your word. You get it one time. We all make mistakes. And as the Bureau said, you can make a mistake, just don't lie about it. Content of character, your integrity. That's all you got. And, when we're talking about our community, when it comes to the FBI, just talk about law enforcement in general. We have, in some areas, I can't say all, we have this reluctance to want to step into a position, the FBI, any law enforcement position, and say, hey, I don't have to be like the people you hate. Like I think we did it at MLK Jr. We tried to show them that, hey, don't let this tell you can't do this, because I don't think any one of the four of us was born with a platinum spoon in our mouth. I think most of us came from the, cities. We ain't out in the county where you had, a BMW at 16. We lived in the city. We had to learn good, bad, and indifference. We had to navigate those pitfalls. And unfortunately, I think a lot of us fall into that mindset that, man, I'm not doing that. I can't do that. But they've never talked to anybody like us.
Right.
At like time, we were having a conversation. I was talking about Hugh. My shooting friends had met your husband, Hugh. They love Hugh. Hugh came to the range up here with me last month. I took him out there 5 minutes into shooting. He was one of the group. By the end of the day, I was second tier. He was first tier.
Because he's a good shot.
Yeah, he's a good shot. And the fact that, I was the first retired FBI agent this group has ever met. So we go shoot on occasion. And my ex-wife and our daughters go on occasion. So my buddy who shoots, he says, man, I done met 2 unicorns. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, first I met you, then I met your former spouse, and then I met Hugh Coleman. So I'm up to 3. You got any more? I said, I got a bunch more. I just got to get them to come over here and visit. We don't see this. We don't see that. Now, I got in the FBI because my mentor from Boy Scout, yes, I admit to it, was an FBI agent. I got no shame for being a Boy Scout in 1973.
That's good.
He ended up being an FBI agent. We've never lost contact to this day. And I told him I wanted to work for FDLE when I got out of college. He said, why do you want to do that? I know you've been to this, did this, did that, and that. He said, I'm going to get you an application for the FBI. I'm like, okay, cool. Send it to me. I'm thinking back, in the late 80s, your paperwork's 2-3 pages long. Anybody remember that 26-page monster?
Oh, yeah, it was voluminous.
Yes.
And I think some of our generational individuals behind us are scared to put pen to paper, even though it's digital now. Stop going for what the crowd says. Oh man, don't do that job. No. If you do the job, I think we all had impact on somebody. We just don't know yet. I like to think that some of those kids from MLK they garnered something from us talking to them and went forward. And but it's the long game. We don't have the answer, but we just got to get more people as we talk to them to think about taking the job. And like Karen said, and Tanya said, you got to give them the insight to say, hey, don't go with the in crowd all the time because that can come back to hurt you. You got to think about what you want when you're 55, 65, 70 years old. So hopefully we'll get this groundbreaking TV show off the ground, up and running and flying high like a SR-71. And we'll see an influx of people that look like us making that application. Turn it around.
So, thank you for that, Dwayne. So, Karen, any last words? I know you spoke about meeting the young man at the retail store. What was it about him that said, you might be a good FBI agent?
And he's not even, normally I don't talk to people about the professional support staff. I talk to him about special agent position, but he just said one thing. It was his demeanor, and he mentioned that his interest is in cyber and all. And when he said that, and I'm watching his demeanor while he's helping me, and I said, I can't leave here without asking him some questions and all. And really, Andre and Tanya hit on it because, and I'm sure they're like me in this, you learn a lot from listening to people. If all you have to do is sit and listen, and they'll tell you everything you need or want to know. And I was listening to him and watching him, and I just got good vibes. So after I finished my business with the internet, then I started talking to him about the FBI, pulled up some agents that we know on YouTube who were in Los Angeles with us, some Black female agents, pulled up the website, and I said, look, this is a good career. Now, if you're interested in the agent position, I can talk to you about that. But being that you mentioned cyber, we have professional support staffs, a professional support staff where linguists, translators, evidence technicians, computer folks, so on and so on and so on. I said, peruse the website. I'm not going to bother you at all. Peruse the website. Here's my name and number. If you have any questions, call me. Because the recruiting process never stops for me. I don't care how happy I was in the Bureau. I don't care how angry I was in the Bureau. The recruiting never stops. And we spoke at colleges, elementary school, middle school, high school. I loved doing that. When I got to Miami, I continued doing that. At colleges, standing up recruiting. The applicant coordinators say, or the recruiter sit there and go, oh, go to lunch, take a break, sit down. I go, no, I don't do. When I'm all in, I'm all in. I was so tired, but that impressed them because it was important to me to help people that look like us. We did not have that help when we came in. And that's what I meant by we blazed the trail. Now it's like to make it easier for those following us. We're here to help you if you want to go this path and if you want the help.
So, and I know that this video and the subsequent show will be a great recruitment tool that as well will lead people to the FBI. So I want to again thank you guys for coming on, and we will certainly keep in touch as we move forward. We'll start doing our production meetings and getting your stories together. So Dwayne's going to help us with all of keeping everybody abreast of everything. So thanks again for your time. And if we don't talk before the beginning of the year, happy holidays to you and happy new year. But I know we'll be talking in the new year. So thanks again for your time.
You're all welcome.
Thank you
Thank
for your
you.
time.
Thank
Nice
you.
to
It's been my
And it's
pleasure.
good to see these guys.
That's all.
Andre, I haven't seen you in about 30 years.
I know, since I left LA.
I know, man.
All right. Good night.
All
Take
right,
care.
good night. Thank you.
So we want to thank you guys as well for being on with us. Again, we are packaging a show about Black FBI agents and Dwayne Gibson as the premier FBI agent and his fellow FBI agents that he worked with on various cases. So as we move into the new year, our producer, I guess she's okay with me saying her name, is Katusha Kroom, who's had experience in producing shows and writing. And she's also from Knoxville, Tennessee. Shout out to K-Town. So that's it for now. If you know anyone who has a streaming service or production company and they're looking for shows, we'd be willing to entertain the idea of taking our show to their streaming service. So to find out more about the things that I care about, you can go to the written version of my journal. That's urweb.com. Thank you so much and have a super